this is a really fun project. I need you guys to pay attention, listen to directions, that way it turns out good, okay? Got that? Yeah. So you guys know Thanksgiving's coming up, so this is like a fun Thanksgiving project. But first, kind of an introduction, I want you guys to tell me, who can tell me what maize is? What's maize?
It's something you go through, but it's hard to get through, and it's like you see where you go like in a mirror maze, and you run to a mirror.
Okay, so that's kind of a different kind of maze. Let's look at the spelling here. Think of the holiday that's coming up. Does anyone know? Casey.
I think maize is Thanksgiving. What kind of the pilgrims called it that?
Okay, so it has something to do with Thanksgiving.
Is it something like corn?
Corn, yeah. So maize is just another word for corn. It's like a Spanish term for corn. And you can kind of see here, not all this corn is like the corn that we just, eat off the cob or get out of a can. But there are all different kinds of corn, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, and they can all be used for different things. And so something like this or, something like that, like that's not just something you eat. But do you have questions, David? So something like this we usually see in like maybe Thanksgiving decorations, centerpieces, in pictures. And so there's a reason for that. So we're gonna kind of read and figure out how this kind of corn has to do with Thanksgiving. And then we're going to be making our own maize. So our project's going to take a little bit of time, so I'm just going to read through this, and I just want you guys to kind of follow along, okay? So, in 1621, the Wampanoag Indians and the colonists of Plymouth shared a feast that today is widely viewed as the very first Thanksgiving in the colonies of America. This 3-day-long fall festival celebrated their bountiful harvest and an alliance that would last over 50 years. With modern traditions for turkeys, parades, and pies, we often lose sight of the true story of those early encounters between the native peoples and the Mayflower settlers. The stories of the Mayflower and the colonists' first hard years of settlement in present-day New England is known to all school children. So, too, is the story of the role that the local Native Americans played in the survival of the colony. Teaching the new settlers how to fish, extract sap from maple trees, and most importantly, grow an abundant amount of maize, what we know as corn. What may be less known is the backstory. How did the New England indigenous people themselves come to grow maize, and what does it tell us about the pre-European settlement of the Americas? So this is some more pictures of the maize. Maize, at the time of the Pilgrims' colony arrival, was very different from what we grow today. It came in an assortment of colors like white, red, yellow, and blue, and a wide variety of shapes and sizes. Easily stored and preserved, it was an essential crop for the Native Americans. Archaeologists and botanists, so botanists are people who study like plants, long puzzled over the origins of maize domestication, and there were lively debates throughout the early 20th century. Now the evidence seems clear that maize derives from wild grass. Around 9,000 years ago, indigenous people in Central America, Mexico, and Guatemala figured out how to modify the wild grass to get it to produce larger seed kernels, finally producing an edible version of the plant. Fairly rapidly, in evolutionary terms, the first domesticators shared seeds along their trade routes, and maize traveled both north and south. Archaeologists have dated the first evidence of maize in the southwestern United States at about 4,000 years ago. It is thought to have reached the northwestern United States about 2,100 years ago. So, corn did not always look like it does now, and they actually made the plants grow bigger seeds that way we could eat it. Got a question?
I think I made maize with my grandma like 3 years ago with beads and pipe cleaners.
Okay, cool. So it'll be really close to what we're doing today. No. So by the time the Pilgrims arrived from England on the Mayflower, the Native Americans they had met had long been engaged in extensive trade networks that spanned the entire continent. The understanding of these trade networks is still a work in progress, but the remarkable fact is that the first humans to settle the Americas not only domesticated native plants like maize, squash, beans, tomatoes, and more, but they also shared their knowledge of these plants with each other across vast distances. So the corn was really important for their trade, which is really important to what we're about to learn for Thanksgiving. Far from the stereotype of the primitive Native American encountered by the Pilgrims, a stereotype still perpetuated in Thanksgiving pageants and the like, Native Americans were sophisticated societies with a wealth of knowledge about the environment, potential to sustain a way of life. Indeed, the Pilgrims were surprised to be greeted by Native Americans belonging to the Wampanoag Confederacy who spoke English, some already having been subjected to capture and forced enslavement in Europe. So when the settlers met the Native Americans, a lot of the Native Americans already knew how to speak English. They knew how to farm. A lot of things that, we think that maybe they didn't know yet, but they were actually, they had communities that were sophisticated and maize has always been a versatile crop. Every part of it could be used, generating no waste at all. The corn itself could be ground into cornmeal for cornbread, corn syrup, and corn pudding. It could be dried out and used to make hominy, where the dried kernels were soaked in wood and water solution until they split open, then drained and cooked over a fire. The husk could be woven into mats or baskets, or used to create dolls and other figures. Even the cob found a use as fuel to burn, as ceremonial rattling sticks were carved in to create darts. Across the Americas, native people bred different varieties and invented literally hundreds of recipes and ways to use maize. Today, maize cultivation is global. In the United States of America, it's the single largest producer. In the fall of 1621, the colonists' first corn harvest was a major success, providing them with enough food to make it through the next winter. Governor William Bradford organized a feast in celebration of their plentiful harvest and invited the Wampanoag chief, Massasoit. Although we do not have a record of exactly what was on the menu at this feast, we can be certain that no desserts were made, as the colonists had run low on reserves of sugar at the time and did not have access to any ovens. As for the main dishes, many historians believe that they were prepared using traditional Native American spices and recipes, with a significant number of them involving corn. So as we celebrate Thanksgiving this year, let's give some thanks to the indigenous peoples who first introduced the rest of us to that essential ingredient that plays a role in the food we eat today. Okay, so this article kind of told us that this corn, also known as point corn, Indian corn, but overall, just all corn was really important to the Native American people, and it was really important to the settlers when they first came over to the Americas. So that's why this is going to be a Thanksgiving craft, and it's important to remember how important this was to those Native Americans and to those settlers. But today, we'll be making our own. Is this kind of what?
Yeah, that's what I made.
That's what you made? Okay.
Yes.
Well, today you get to do it again, and if someone needs help, maybe you can give them some extra help.
How do you make it?
Okay, so I'm gonna help you guys.
It looks really easy, but at the same time it looks hard.
Alright, I need you to raise your hand if you have a question, okay? Because, like I said, it's going to be really important to listen to directions on this, or else
Question.
if it gets messed up, it's really hard to go back and do it again, and so we'll just have to move on.
Are you using glue?
We're not using glue. We're just going to be using pipe cleaners and beads. Yes.
The point is colored making out.
Yep, so I want you guys to keep in mind that, your bags will have yellow corn in them. Yellow beads, I'm sorry. But it also will have different colored beads. And I want you guys to remember that you can make it however you want. Like you saw those pictures of the corn, they all had different colors. So you guys use whatever colors you want, use whatever patterns you want. You know, this is something where you can get to kind of choose on that. So I'm gonna start by passing out these pipe cleaners. You guys are gonna get 4 pipe cleaners. You do not have to choose the same colors. You can choose 2 of the same colors and then 2 different colors. You can choose all the same colors and all different. Yes.
Are we only allowed to make one?
We're just gonna mix one because that's what I have the beat for today. Okay. Yeah. Come on, here, Alright, you're going to start with this row, and you're going to hold out the bags, that way they can take 4 pipe cleaners out. You guys get to choose your colors.
It's hard to get out. I don't know which one.
And like I said, they can all be the same, they can all be different.
I just know that.
But these will be what is showing in your guys' stems, so just keep that in mind.
Mr. Johnson, there's one of our words from the social studies test, alliance and archaeologists. That's what he was putting here, picture.
Yep, make sure you guys take 4.
That's the note. That's what
Try not to binge our pipe cleaners when you get them, because it'll make it hard for the beads on. So just wait for my direction.
Mrs. Haley did, right? How do we do the bottom? That's my question.
I'm gonna do it. I will do one with you guys, okay? So you guys will see each step. So for now, just don't bend your pipe cleaners yet, because I don't want it to be harder for you guys.
I'm bending them already. Somehow mine are already bent.
I don't remember how to do it. I think it's how you do it. You try to place this and then put the bead and then you hold them up. I think that's it. I don't remember.
Alright, guys, so go ahead and line your pipe cleaners up. Cassandra?
Like this?
Yep, line them up right next to each other.
Like about halfway. We're going to put it in.
Yeah, but first I want you to make sure that you line it up so that way they're even with each other, okay? Make the ends even. The more even it is, the better your corn will look at the end. So if you need to use your desk and push it all down,
For some reason,
or
my
use your
wife's all
finger,
bendy. For some reason.
there, I can get you.
I like this. My fingers are nice. Like this?